This is a production of KMmedia.pro. Welcome back to Positive Talk Radio. Our goal is simple: to explore evolving ideas one conversation at a time. So come on over into our world. I know you'll like it, because on today's show, we get to meet an exciting young lady who has been out and about. She's a chief brand specialist and a strategist and a corporate trainer. She helps people of all kinds learn how to be effective in the job that they do and what they do. She's got a myriad of educational background and stuff. But before we go there, we got to talk to my friend Eric. How are you?
Hey, good afternoon, Kevin. Happy Wednesday to you.
Happy Wednesday to you too, sir. And I'm excited to be here as always. And I'm excited to hear what the weather's going to be. I've been in my little shadow of a place and I haven't looked outside.
Well, this is a good day to be in your little shadow of a place, burrowed away like the groundhog, because it has been, of course, as you know, very rainy the last few days. But looks like sunshine on the horizon for this weekend. A little break in the action when it comes to all the heavy rain that we've had the last couple of days. You know, making up for all the rain that we didn't get over the summer, all in 2 days. It seems like.
Oh, I'll tell you. And by the way, I don't know that are you a sports fan in any way, shape, or form? I don't think you are much, are you?
You know, not personally, but whenever our teams here in the Seattle area do well, I'm very excited, because it seems to make people happy, and
It's
anytime people are happy, I think that's a great thing.
and so I said this on I think it was on Friday's show at noon. And just want to repeat it a little bit for everybody, because if you know somebody who is a Mariners fan or you are a Mariners fan, you are either having a wonderful week. Well, you weren't until last night. And you've got just several days through this weekend. So if you know a Mariners fan and they're not feeling very good and they're kind of sad, it's because we're losing, and we can't lose right now because we're in the middle of the playoff hunt and we have a good chance of making the playoffs, and which is to be the second time in 20 years.
Well, they won last night, right? And so they're still in it. So it's just more suspense, right?
It's much more suspense. And so if you have somebody that, if you hear swearing from the other room, that's probably why, one way or the other.
But if they win and if they make it, that victory will be all the sweeter, right?
It it will be, and then they come out and they're happy, and you can probably get anything you want to out of them for at least a day until tomorrow's game. But I just wanted to say congratulations to the Mariners. I'm glad that they are where they're at, and it's such an exciting time for the city to be here in Seattle. So that's great.
Fantastic.
Yes, indeed. And the Seahawks are doing well, and the Huskies are doing well. I got to tell you, it's a great time to be in Seattle. That's all I got to say.
It's a great time to be inside in Seattle.
Actually, it's a great time to be anywhere, if you rather than to be nowhere. But in any event, we've got a great show for you, for everybody today. I hope they'll stay with us the entire time, because Bianca Modo is here with us, and she is a remarkable young lady. We had a wonderful time chatting before the show, and that'll carry right into the show. And she has got. I told her before the show that I would read her resume and all the education she's taken and stuff, but that would take the hour, and then we wouldn't have time to talk to her. So why don't we go ahead and talk to her right now? Bianca, how are you today?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, I got to tell you, you're the type of person that is fun to have here, because not only are you very educated and very gifted at what you do, but you also have a service ethic to help other people do the same thing, don't you?
Absolutely.
As a matter of fact, on your website, it says a servant's heart leading you to a powerful transformation. And go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say absolutely, a servant heart, that is the heart of everything that I do. I try to stay a servant no matter what it is, just to be humble, basically.
So let's go over that. What is it that you do?
That I do. So, like you said, I am a chief brand strategist. So basically, I make people look good. I make their brands look good, but I also help them to develop that inner confidence and kind of unlock some of those things that are hidden that keep them from their purpose. So, I'm basically mixing brand strategy and image consulting together, and just crafting this unique process.
I keep hearing, as a matter of fact, I heard the first time I heard this was on KKNW back in 2003. There was another guy that he was a disc jockey for, I think it was Kixie at the time. And he came up to me and I said, "Can you give me the one piece of advice?" Because I was doing positive talk on KKNW. And I said, "Can you give me the one piece of advice?" And he had a real deep voice. And he goes, "Branding, my son, branding." Describe exactly what branding means to those that we may have heard the term, but we're just not really familiar with what branding really is.
So I want to simplify it. I get this so often. People normally think, I'm gonna tell you what people normally think branding is. Normally, people think branding is, okay, I got a website, I got a logo, I got my colors, right? I'm all good. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go with this, with my business, and I don't need anything else. And then they forget that their brand needs a mission, and that their brand has to have values, and that they have to understand the brand personality. So there's all of these little pieces that basically make up how people perceive you. We see ourselves a certain way, right? So of course, in our minds, this is how we look, but it's about personal branding and branding in general. Even with brands, they are trying to impact the way that you perceive them. So that is what branding is. So that means, yeah, that includes your social media, that includes the way that you dress, the way that you appear, the way that you communicate with others, your behavior, how you're responding to certain situation. All of these things are a part of your brand. So essentially, your brand is you. And of course, if you have products, right, then that brand is that product. But whatever it is basically what people are perceiving about your brand itself.
That's pretty good right there. I keep on talking to people and going, you really need to brand yourself better, and you need to niche down, and you need to do this, and you need to do that. Um, can you help me? What do you think of Positive Talk Radio's branding?
The branding is good so far. I went and I googled you, so that's what I do, right? Like, I when people tell me that they're with their what they are and who they are, I'm like, I'm gonna go Google this person. If their name doesn't pop up somewhere, then I'm gonna be questioned. I'm gonna question about this branding that you say that you've done. But this is good, and even I think about the touch points, right? And the automation and the reaching out and the checking in, like all of that, right, is a part of the brand. I was like, oh, they actually care about me. They want me to show up. They don't want me to forget about this. I love it. I love it. I absolutely love it. So, we can always do some tweaks and come have some expanded, right? You can always expand the brand, have some events or something. Come on over to the East Coast. I'm here in Atlanta. Come on out here and let's stretch you. Let's get you out here in person, and I bet we can really take it to the next level.
Oh, we can. Now, in my case, I have a branding problem. And the branding
Mhm.
problem is this. There's a guy, he was on Disney. He's a stand-up comic, and he's been out in the media world for a long time. His name happens to be Kevin McDonald.
Mhm.
And when I Google Kevin McDonald, I don't know if you Googled me, but you'll see a lot of his stuff will come up and not my stuff because my branding I've chosen because of him being there. I've chosen to not necessarily brand myself, but to brand the show, which if
Mhm.
you Google Positive Talk Radio,
Of
we are
course.
on the first 9 pages
Right.
of so we're a thing as far as Positive Talk Radio goes, but how would you help someone that is going up against a big name that's been out there for a long time, who's got positions, who's got the first 3 pages of Google under their name, which is his name is Kevin McDonald. I can't go in and say, yeah, but look at me, look at me.
Yeah. Okay. So the first thing that came to, do you have a middle name?
I do.
So do you
Scott.
ever use like it's Scott?
Yeah.
So I don't know, Kevin S. McDonald. So I was thinking about, maybe when you go to conferences and trade shows. So speaking more, someone like you who is a thought leader, right? I consider you to be a thought leader, someone who is just, you're an expert in your field. You have a process, you have a framework. You already know what you're doing, right? The biggest thing is getting out there in front of more people. And I see you speaking in person. Like I literally see you in front of thousands of people at these conferences, at these trade shows, and it's Kevin S. McDonald. So that's how you would switch it, because people are gonna like it's like the S makes you, like it's the suave. The S is for suave.
Or one of my favorites would be Kevin Superman
Yeah,
McDonald.
there's always something different. I don't know if you're a Lil Wayne fan. I'm a Lil Wayne fan, but he's always got this something, he's Weezy F baby, and there's always something, like I see that there's always something different that the S would stand for. So it's you're having fun, right? Because that's your personality. Your personality is really fun. And so that is something that's memorable about you. Like I could never forget you, because even in our first conversation, I was like, he's really, really a fun guy. Like he's down to earth, he's super fun, he gets straight to the point. Like this is great. So I could see you playing off of that. That was the first thing that came to my mind.
Well, thank you for that. And by the way, that's $150.
Yeah. I'll have my assistant invoice you.
Have your assistant bill me, and I'll pay the invoice, because that really is because I've been trying to figure out the best way to do that. And that would make sense. But you see me speaking in front of folks, do you?
I do. I do. I see you at conferences. I definitely see you in conferences and trade shows, lending your expertise on stages. And so you get bigger than that person, right? Now you become bigger than the person. And honestly, if you want to be associated with Positive Talk Radio, I guess maybe that was how I found you. Because of course I looked up Positive Talk Radio, but I also looked up your name, and the two were synonymous. And so that goes for anyone, making sure that you are, associating your brand. If your personal name is your brand, then whether you have one brand or multiple brands, right? Like I have a clothing line, I have books, I have all of these things. My name is on it. So I'm even right now wearing Bianca Modo collection, right? Like your name is on it. My nonprofit, it gives it ownership, right? My nonprofit is the Bianca Modo Foundation. And that's kind of where that integrity, right? It holds me accountable. My name is on something. When your name is on something, it makes it a big difference, right?
Oh yeah, my name is everywhere.
Yeah.
McDonald's, the restaurant. No, I'm kidding. And when people say, "How do you spell your last name?" I said, "Are you kidding me?" It's like, go
Like
look at a
Ronald.
building someplace.
Yeah.
Oh, you spell it that way. Okay, I get it. Okay, okay.
Just like that. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, do have to tell you, you are delightful,
Oh,
and you are really a lot of fun. But the public speaking thing. Can I tell you a quick story?
yes, of course.
When I was traveling, I was selling chicken at the time, and my wife calls me. I was in a hotel room, I think in like Oklahoma or some silly place, and she says, "Do you?" My son was going to be in Cub Scouts, and so we wanted to enroll him in Cub Scouts. And there's a local elementary school that had a Cub Scout troop. So she goes to the meeting, and they said, "Well, we're not doing very well. We have 3 returning scouts." Um, and my wife said, "Well, I'll do that, and my son would like to join." And she said, the other thing is we don't have anybody to like be the leader. And so my wife, in her infinite wisdom, volunteered me without my permission. So She called up and said, "Do you know what a pack leader is?" And I said, "Well, yeah, he's the guy that's in charge of like the pack meetings and all that kind of stuff." And she said, "Yeah, that's right. Well, you know what? That's you." So really, you did that to me? And so I decided to embrace it. And they started out with 3 returning scouts. By the end of the second year together, we had pack meetings that had over 200 people in them,
Wow.
and there were 80 kids that were in the pack. And people kept telling me, "We keep coming to these things because we like to listen to you talk." And
Yeah.
I never put the two together. But then you're telling me I could be a speaker of note.
There's a lot of wisdom inside of you, and I think we underestimate ourselves so often, but I definitely see you speaking on stages, like taking your show. I went, of course, I dove into the show, right? And some of the topics. And I just think about you doing like having these conversations because sometimes there's intimate conversations that should happen in a room, right? When we're in a room in an intimate space, even if it's big, right? Like I think, when Oprah does it and she goes to these events and she's packing out stadiums and she's just having conversations, just like we're having conversation. She's having conversations. Michelle Obama, and these are good brand references. Has these intimate conversations with people, and thousands of people are showing up just to have a conversation. And so, absolutely, I definitely see that being your thing, and just like we're doing, linking up with people who have these stories to tell, and somebody just wants to get into the room and connect with that. They want to, man, I have trauma, I have something that I need to heal, I have this I'm going on, this is the perfect space for this. And Kevin S. McDonald, he's going to show up, and we know it's going to be real. These conversations are going to be raw and real. So absolutely, yes.
That is one of the things that we do is I like to have conversations with people about real things and real ideas and how we can all live life a little bit better. Um, and a lot of times it takes someone like you to who can get us past all the guck that we are grounded in from our youth and from what people have told us and stuff like that. You're making me I feel like I could go, I don't know, well, I don't know what it's raining outside, but I feel really positive about you and the way that you are presenting what I could do. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely, you're welcome.
And you do that for all people, for people all the time, don't you?
I do. I do it for my mentees, for my clients, and of course, friends, family, all of the things. But that's who I am, and my calling, of course, is to help others to find that purpose and to walk in their purpose. Our nonprofit organization is specifically working with human trafficking girls, girls that have been human trafficked or abused in any kind of sexual way. Um, Helping them to regain that confidence, right? And a part of regaining that confidence is, looking at yourself and understanding who you are, and dealing with the traumas and those secret things, right? That we kind of just push under the rug. And then when life isn't going the way that we want it to go, we're trying to figure out why is life in the way that it's lifing right now. And it's because somewhere in there I haven't dealt with trauma. I'm having issues in my relationships. I'm having issues in all of these different areas of my life, and it comes back down to, where's that trauma? There's something there that's missing. There's something that was lacking in my childhood. There's something that I encountered along the way that caused me to kind of divert that path of success and what it is that I was truly intended to do. And I believe that everyone, we are here for a reason. We're truly intended to do something great. It's just us choosing to do that great thing.
Can we, since you all have a foundation that works with trafficking and human trafficking, can we talk about that for just a sec?
Absolutely.
Because I think right now there in some areas and some people there's a misnomer about when we're talking about trafficking, what are we actually talking about?
So
And
okay, go
go ahead.
ahead. I just wanted to say, whenever we're saying that word trafficking, Yeah, there's so many misconceptions. It is anyone that has been forced into something by fraud, force, or coercion, right? They were lied to get into the situation. Someone took their passport and said, "Hey, they get here, they get to America or wherever that they get to. They take their travel documents and say, 'Hey, you've got to work here and work this off,' or 'I gave you money, I supplied you money for this. Now I fed you, now you owe me.'" It's any form of force, fraud, or coercion, to get someone to do something. And so you can be trafficked, people traffic body parts. Of course, we know that there's child trafficking going on. We know that there's sex trafficking. There's also labor trafficking. So there's all of these different areas of trafficking, and each one has to be tackled differently, right? Even human trafficking, sex trafficking, a child is dealing with it differently than adult is going to deal with it, right? So it is changing this misconception that it's not just hookers on the street. It's not just you were just being pimped out by your boyfriend, and or it's the hood, or whatever misconceptions. Like, you have to understand that trafficking is going on, right in the $1 million neighborhoods, right? There's mansions in Texas that are housing women, right, for trafficking. I actually had a friend of mine speak at our the World Against Trafficking art exhibition recently. Her name is Shamitria Gonzalez, and she was telling us, I think you've heard of her.
I have. I
Oh,
have.
yeah. And she was just telling us how, her neighbors didn't even know that there was just, pimping and prostitution going on in that $1 million house. There's Maseratis and Bentleys and all kind of stuff that's outside. So, right, we wouldn't think that in our mind that that's what's going on. So, it is just taking the time and one saying, okay, we don't understand. I as an individual, I don't really understand what human trafficking is. Let me understand what human trafficking is, and then let me figure out what part that I can play. So, do I fall into the prevention piece? Am I going to help educate young girls on how to spot predators and all of these different things? I'm very big on the prevention piece, so this is why I love to go speak at centers and schools, and to young people. I specifically want to speak to young people because I remember what it was like at that age, when as a teenager, and the things that I went through, that I wish someone would have just had this conversation with me about what to spot, and to have certain situational awareness, and things that I was raised by cops, right? And it's just certain things that they taught me. When you get in the car, you lock the door, especially if you're out at night and you're out going to the grocery store. Don't go to the gas station at night. Don't go by yourself. Like, all of these, don't leave the car running, and don't leave the baby in the car with the car running. Like, there's certain things that I was taught because they were in law enforcement, and everyone doesn't have that. So I just would love to continue to educate, and give people the opportunity. Some people, they're just going to come and lend a hand. Some people can donate, all of these different things. But just, I encourage people to get involved and to get informed about human trafficking and how they can help.
I've been so lucky because I get to talk to people like you that can really be educational for our audience. I was talking with a gal she grew up in India, and one of the things that they do in India, and it is just a normal course of events, is now, first of all, they have different religious sects, and because of the religious sects, they are assigned a value according to society. And so what it will happen is a lower religious sect will give their daughter to a higher one to work in their house. Only they say that they are adopting her, but what she's not allowed to sit on the furniture. She has to sit on the floor. She does all the housekeeping, and then any pay that she gets, her father will come by on a weekly basis. He'll take that pay so he can keep his family that running and stuff. So that's another form of trafficking, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's literally pimping. Like they're literally pimping. You hear about this so often. I hear about this. I have connections in Africa. I do have a few connections in India. So this is so common. Of course, with the practices that they're used to and selling off brides and selling off at young ages, and it's taboo and people weren't talking about it, and now of course we're starting to see it. We're going, just like you said, what was normal for their culture, and you felt like, oh, that's a cultural thing, right? That's just cultural, that's what it is. And now we're going, no, 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 that's modern day slavery. That's modern day slavery. And especially depending on what is the age, right? Especially if they're underage, they shouldn't be working. I mean, it's just it's insane. And so, absolutely, it's modern day slavery. It is trafficking. It is pimping. That is literally pimping, because that the child is not even seeing that money, and then of course being treated, or the child or the woman is being treated less than, right. You're not even, like you said, you can't even sit on the couch. You can't sit on the furniture. You're sleeping on the floor. You're sleeping in closets. Your living conditions are terrible. Yeah, there's just so many pieces and components, and it's hard to tackle everything. But the first step is recognizing, just like you did. When someone else comes along, just because you said that, now when someone else sees it, they're going to go, oh, that's not just a cultural thing. Because I'm sure when you said it, somebody was like, oh, that's cultural, right? Like, no, that's modern day slavery. It
Yep.
is what it is.
And you mentioned Shemitria, and her story is that she was on she was homeless, she was a teenager, she was on her own, and she didn't have enough to eat. Her parents had kicked her out, and a couple of girls came and they said, "Hey, you should come live with us. Yeah, it's not. It's you get a meal and you can have a bed to sleep in and stuff. Come on over to our house and live with us." It turned out to be a brothel,
Hmm.
and so what happened with her was she was over time convinced that that's what you did. That's what you did to survive, was to be pimped out by these people who claimed, quote unquote, but they loved me. And
Right.
even when it was broken into, and there were girls who didn't leave because they felt like this was the only home that they'd ever had. And that is such a, when you hear stories like that, that is such a sad state of affairs that we find ourselves in, that we as a community should not stand for.
Right.
Um, because everybody should have the opportunity to live, quote unquote, the American dream.
Right. And what was interesting, she was telling us, she was working a regular job. She, to make ends meet, I believe she said she was working at like Sonic when these girls walked up to her. And so you think
Yes.
about that, right? Kids nowadays, they want money fast and quick. That's what it is. You want money fast and quick. And so when someone comes along and they're like, you can get $1,000, $2,000 in a week. Like, you up here, how much you making at Sonic? You making 7.25 an hour, and with taxes, they're gonna take that out. What are you bringing home? $125 a week, for a check? That's nothing. That's pennies. Let me show you how you can get some real money. And so that's that coercion piece, right? It's not fraud. It's not, they weren't forced to do it, but it's still coercion. It's especially young girls, because young girls are already impressionable. And then, and for me, Black and brown girls, when there's not a father in the home, when there's a broken home, when there's all of these different, they're homeless, whatever, there's just so many different factors that they're dealing with. Now it's like, oh man, I can go do something better. I can go and I don't have to live this lifestyle. I can live a better lifestyle. But it's coercion. It's not true. They're just kind of shifting them into it to make them want to stay in something that is clearly not healthy for them. That is, of course, with a brothel, and I think it was just one of those, like, they train you up into it. They
Yep.
definitely train you into it, especially with young girls. And so we just have to be mindful, and really just pay attention to our surroundings and what we're teaching our young, specifically for me, our young girls. What are we teaching them? What are the conversations that we're having? I believe men have to have these kind, just like we're having this conversation. Men have to start talking about this as well and start pointing it out, because I don't, we're fighting this fight and it seems like we're fighting it by ourselves, and we know that we're not, right? We know that we have allies, but it helps to know that there are more men who are standing up and standing in the gap for these young girls and these women, and that who don't have these father figures, who missed out on something in their life, even if they did, and they just didn't have that connection right with them. There's just so many different things that we have to consider, and it is just great that we just get to sit and talk about it, and have the conversations, and attack it directly.
Well, I'm a firm believer in capitalism and supply and demand, and I can tell you this: if there was no demand, there would be no prostitution.
Absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree, and that's actually, so here in Atlanta we have so many task force. That's what a lot of them are focusing on, the demand of human trafficking. We are trying to end the demand, because just say in a John or whatever is arrested. So normally when someone is arrested for sex trafficking, or some form of trafficking or prostitution, or a man is arrested for prostitution and caught, if it's a well-known person, if it's someone of stature, they've normally never been arrested before. They're doctors and lawyers. They're these prestigious people in these prestigious fields, and they're arresting the prostitutes, and they're arresting these, and sending these men on their way. And so now there are laws being put into place that's going, you're not going to get away with this, like you used to get away with it. Like, there need to be consequences. Like you said, we have to stop the supply. So the only way to stop the supply is we start sending people to prison. We start sending people to jail. People have to pay for what it is, pay for the consequences of what it is that they are participating in. And then specifically in human trafficking, it is being mindful of the demand of human trafficking, like you said, and educating young girls, educating children, not to walk off with strangers. Encouraging young girls, that they should, especially girls in high school, they don't need to be dating older men, and dating outside of, that's another thing. They come in, the older boyfriends come in, and or they may or may not be in high school, and they're convincing these young girls, and I'll take you shopping, you don't have to, all of these different things, and then getting them involved as well. And so that's, for me, that's where that prevention piece comes in, to where if you start building up the confidence of these young girls and of these children, then it's easy for them to be like, oh no, I don't want to do that. If someone walks up to them at Sonic and says, offering them, like, Auntie Bianca said that all that glitters is not gold, and I'm not going with you. I don't care about your $2,000 a week. No, you're gonna have to send that. So I'm gonna have to run that through. And I actually have a younger cousin who done that. She's in modeling, and she'll send me like emails and things like that, because that's another way that they're trapping people. They'll, hey, you come do this photo shoot, and we will I'll get you paid all this money, and then they're kidnapped. And so I'll tell her, I'm like, no, this is don't you dare go to this location. Like, this is complete scam. No, you're not doing that. But everybody doesn't have that person. So I would love for our organization to be that for young girls globally.
Well, congratulations, and I hope that the organization grows and grows and grows, because I got to tell you, it is, it, when you take somebody who's, I don't know, 15, 16, 17, they've lived in, sometimes not having enough to eat, not having great clothes to wear, and then somebody throws thousands of dollars at them. That's hard for them to say no to. But more importantly, we need to go after the people with those thousands of dollars that are going after the kids.
Absolutely.
because that's one thing I don't hear. There was a guy. I got to tell you this quick story. There was a guy. He was in radio in Seattle, and he was on a radio station, and they did a sting, a prostitute sting thing, and he was arrested.
Mm.
And of course, they found out who he was. He lost his job and all of that because he was doing something that he shouldn't have been doing. And I think that is, if you are going to after a prostitute, or if you're going after somebody that you're willing to pay for sex, number one, there's something wrong with you, and you need to go have that looked at and have somebody talk to you about that. But more importantly, you stop it.
Yeah.
Just knock it off, because that's not the appropriate thing to be doing. And if we could dry that up, it's like we're always going to have a drug problem in this country until we stop wanting to use drugs.
Right.
And as long as we want to use drugs, there's going to be people who are going to say, "Hey, I got some here, have," and uh, and so we've got to stop that. We've also got to stop saying, "No, I'm not going to go." It's some of it makes my skin crawl. I'm not going to go to a place where there's somebody who's my daughter's age,
Right.
and I'm going to work to have sex with them. When I don't understand it, but that's just me.
Right.
But
That's
enough of that. This is Positive Talk Radio, and so we do, and so I bring it from the standpoint of it is so positive what you're doing, and
yes.
you're getting the word out about it, and you're helping kids, and you're helping people find out how pervasive it is. And there could be somebody down the street in a nice house that is doing running a ring in your own neighborhood. You wouldn't even know it.
Yeah. Be vigilant.
Yes. So congratulations on doing that. And you're also doing a bunch of other stuff with yourself. What else are you doing?
Oh man, I do so many things. I am also, of course, so I'm a brand strategist. We talked about that. I run the nonprofit. I'm wearing the Bianca Modo. So I'm a designer, so I'm wearing right now. I'm wearing Bianca Modo clothing.
If where
So,
where can somebody find your clothing line?
BiancaMotoCollection.com.
Oh,
Yep.
good for
So
you.
yeah, so I do that as well. And then of course I sit on the board of the Atlanta Council of International Relations. I am the director of membership there. I'm going on about almost 2 years with that organization, where we are basically educating the world about politics. If we could just sum it up, we're educating our members and our audience about the things that are going on, the global issues that are going on around the world, and having this bipartisan view, having a view that we're not choosing sides, we're allowing people to, come and who are experts and having conversations that really need to be had. We need to know what's going on in the world, and I think when you watch the news is so biased. Depending on which channel that you pick up, and you're playing off of each other, and you kind of like, man, I wish I do actually do somebody who was in the Ukraine and who's actually studying and know what's going on, and it's just, yeah, they're doing some research, but sometimes it helps to talk to people who've had boots on the ground, and things like that. So I am a part of that organization as well. And then, of course, I run a mastermind group inside of Kingdom Business Network under our Pastor Chandler and Prophetess Chanel. So I am the program director for the Master's Mind. So I am just a thrill of so many different things, so many different aspects, working with people. And that's what it is. I'm passionate about working with leaders. And so that's what I'm doing, whether they're young leaders, whether they are seasoned, whether they are business entrepreneurs, influencers, thought leaders. You are a leader. I want to work with you. Absolutely.
And by the way, we are talking with Bianca Moto or Modo. If you want to go to her website, it's biancamoto.com. And Bianca, how I know it's been a good show and I've enjoyed it?
How do you
I
know?
blew right past the commercial break. I was supposed to do a commercial break 20 minutes ago. I blew right by it. I didn't even think about it until this very moment, and so we do need to run one of them. So we're gonna do run one of the breaks, and Eric, you guys and get to decide which one. And we're talking with Bianca, and we'll be right back after these commercial messages.
Do you need to boost your sales? Join our partnership program. Each quarter, we promote 10 partner businesses. What will you get? The company will produce one 30-second video for your business. Your website links on positivetalkradio.net and kmmedia.pro. One dedicated podcast or radio show per month. One video Instagram reel. One YouTube short. One 60-second clip for social media taken from your interview, and at least one commercial airplay per show. All podcast and video commercials are within the fabric of the show and will remain in the show forever. Visit kmmedia.pro to book a consultation today.
When you want to say more than words communicate, you can with flowers. Your custom boutique floral studio in Bothell, Washington is anaturaldesign.com, connecting you to nature through the language of flowers. Where your people are is where our flowers are beautiful. Your success is our goal. For being our appreciated listener, you can use promo code PTR20 at checkout to receive 20% off your order. anaturaldesign.com at your fingertips today.
We believe in the power of telling your stories. We want to help yours be seen and heard. At the Pacific Northwest Collaborative Magazine, our purpose is to connect you to your community. Let's begin by celebrating the accomplishments of local artists featured in this brand new digital magazine. Here, you can learn about opportunities to creatively come together and support our local community and neighbors through the gift of art and service. If your business or organization would like to take part in this magazine, message us on Instagram at pnw.collab. You can download our free digital magazine at KM Media Pro today.
Thank you to our dedicated fans. We are updating our live on-air schedule to make it super easy for you to hang out with us 5 days a week, Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We broadcast on YouTube, Facebook, and live on Fridays with Kixie 8:80 a.m. Seattle Live. You can find our library to binge all the podcast platforms. We can't wait to see you at 3 p.m. Monday through Friday, starting September 4th, Labor Day 2023.
And welcome back to Positive Talk Radio, everybody. We've got a great guest, have had a great discussion today. Her name is Bianca Modo, and she is, let's see, she was in college for like 100 years. She's a designer of clothes. She runs a nonprofit. She does a mastermind group. When do you have time to sleep, young lady?
Oh, that's a great question. I sleep. My friends say I have a great nap ministry. I know when to take naps. If they're ever looking for me and it's in the middle of something and they can't find me, they know that I'm somewhere taking a nap. So I definitely get naps in.
Someone like you, I don't get a chance to talk to. I talk to a lot of educated people, but you are very educated. You also have worked with people in all forms of life and all stations of life, if you will. I would love for you to tell our audience anything that you would like them to know, that is close to your heart.
Mm. Ooh, that's good. Something that's close to my heart, anything. Oh man, can you narrow it? Can we?
Can I narrow it down just a little bit? Okay, your heart is in the middle of your chest, and it's
Yeah, I'm
um,
like,
something that you feel very passionate about because you're a passionate person, and you're passionate about everything that you do.
I am.
Something that can benefit our audience
Mm,
with, and you can utilize your experience and your passion to help somebody that is sitting in their car. It is 4:45, 4:47 in the afternoon in Seattle, and they're sitting in traffic, and they're going, "Oh, well, I want that to be something that can help them
mm,
live their lives a little bit better even though they're sitting in traffic and going, I don't want to be sitting in traffic. I hate this.
So this is Positive Talk Radio, right? And I
Yes,
think
ma'am.
we just don't want to skim over the moment that right now somebody is listening to this conversation, and they're just dreaming about something. They are dreaming about there's a God-given vision. There's just something that they've been given in their heart, right? And I tell people that when you run away from that thing, when you're hurting, when you're running away, because I want to talk about healing, and I want to talk about getting over that trauma of the past, and trying to utilize that to grow from, right? When you have these great visions, I truly believe that there's always going to be great distractions that come along with great vision. And so if there's just something that you're supposed to be doing in life and you feel like, you know what, I'm not really doing that thing, I would start asking myself why. Why is it that I'm not going after something bigger? Why is it that I know that my heart is over here in this place, and I want to start this nonprofit organization? That's normally what people ask me. They're like, man, how'd you get this nonprofit organization started? And I'm like, look, guys, it all started with the book. Like, it started with I had to get out of my feelings and really deal with some trauma of my own and things that I grew up with that, like I said before in the beginning, that was affecting relationships. It was affecting not just personal relationships, but work relationships and what it is that I wanted to do. I just wasn't clear. And so I want to encourage people to really get clear on who it is that you want to become. Who is that person? Think about yourself, your 10-year person. Who is that 5-year, 10-year? Who do you want to become? What does that success look like for you? Right? Where do you want to be? And then look at where you are right now. And now you can kind of measure, right? Because we never really know, there's that gap, right? We're supposed to be filling the gap and measuring the gap and figuring out, okay, well, how do we get from here to here? But if we're not honest about where we are in our lives, what are some things that we haven't dealt with? What is what's triggering us, right? There's, for me, it was like, man, I used to get triggered by so many things. I was like, man, why am I so angry with the world? Like, I don't even understand why I'm angry. They didn't even do anything to me like that. And then I realized, oh man, I got daddy issues, and I have, it's all kind of stuff. Oh, this happened to me, and I just kind of brushed it under the rug. Really starting to examine ourselves and say, why am I the way that I am? Why am I running from this thing? Why do I feel like I have imposter syndrome? Why do I feel like I'm not good enough to do that thing that I believe that I can do, that really, that start that business? And so being honest with yourself, and then taking the first step. Like, once you've identified it, what's the first step? What are you going to do differently? We always talk about the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and over and thinking that we're going to get, some kind of different results. And that's not how it is. So really being honest with yourself and figuring out, okay, what's my next plan? Do I need a brand strategist? Do I need a life coach? Do I need to go back to school? What is that thing that I need to do? Because if we stop asking ourselves questions, I remember we were childlike when we were kids. I don't know. I have a 5-year-old. He's about to be 6, and he'll ask me whatever. He asks me a million questions. Like, I don't know how y'all are, y'all's kids. And I'm just like trying to explain to him the world. Like, he makes me make things simple. Like, he's like, I don't understand why. And, and it's like, wow, you're so childlike. It's so innocent that he's not thinking anything of it, right? Like, he's just asking questions. And we forget to ask ourselves these questions because we start just going day to day. Things just kind of flow. We get up in the morning, we go to work. We've been at the same job for however long. Or we started the business, right? We did the thing that we said we were going to do, but we're not really getting our sales, or we're not really seeing enough impact in what it is that we want to do. And it's like, well, what's the next step? Am I cool here? Am I just going to coast? Am I going to drift? Or do I want something bigger? Do I want to do something different? And put yourself out there. once you have that intention and you say, okay, I'm it's positive, right? All right, now what am I going to do? Now I have an intention. Now it's time to go out there into the world and expect it. Expect the thing that you said that you want, put action behind it, go and reach out. If someone is reaching out to you to have this wonderful podcast, conversation, then you clearly did that person, and you guys are supposed to meet for something. I believe in divine alignment. I believe in all of these things. And I believe that, sometimes opportunities will come from just the most random places, right? And we have to be open. We have to keep our hearts open. That's why I'm very big on heart work and being a servant leader, because when your heart is clear, you're making decisions, right? You're making decisions that come and flow from the heart. And so your values and your morals, like, you don't have to worry about values and morals. It's coming from your heart. You know that you're doing the right thing. And so just really following through with that, and just being a beacon of light. That's what I would say.
Boy, you said a lot in a very short period of time. Very nice. And I would like to share something with you if I can. I don't know if you know this, but that exactly what the way you describe it is what happened to me. In
Mm,
2002, I said to myself, why am I really here? What am I here to do? And
mm,
being a sales manager for a major company wasn't it. And I really wanted to make a difference. Hence, Positive Talk Radio was born in 2003. I could do that for a year, but then I ran out of money, had to go
mm,
back to work. Um, and then I went through what I call my bad country music song period. My dad died. My dog died. My wife left. I lost my house. I declared bankruptcy. I got sued for $50,000. I hit a tree or I hit a bridge with a truck, and
mm.
all of the like a 3-year period. Then I had to go drive a bus in Seattle for 12 years. And guess what? I'm here on the radio talking to you
Yeah.
now because I would not give up my dream
Yeah.
of impacting people in a positive way. And now I've interviewed over 2,000 people and have had, I believe, in the bottom of my heart, have had an impact on people that listen to this show. And I
Absolutely.
will continue to do that as long as I can. And what you just said is I know that to be a fact. I know that to be true. Follow your heart, follow your passion, live it. And is it always going to be perfect? No, but keep going. Never stop, never quit. That's
Never.
my
Yeah, never quit. That's good. And I'm glad that you shared that. I sense that it's probably a lot of your listeners feel the same way. So absolutely, just absolutely, like you said, just follow your heart.
And if you are lucky enough, you get to talk to people like you.
Yeah.
uh, that are doing that. And I am so pleased that you came on the show to talk to me today. And you're going to need to come back, and we need to do it again. Will you do that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I will be back.
And if you know anybody that wants to, have somebody speak in front of their crowd, I'm available.
Okay. I will now you're definitely on my mind. And so when I put the Kevin, what is the S stand for? And when I put it there, I want you gotta hold on to it. Now it's gonna have to start going on the business cards. You gotta make it real. I'm gonna know.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And that's, I got to tell you, and we're running out of time, and we've just got a couple of seconds, but whenever you feel passionate about something, and then there's that little voice in your head that sometimes is a big voice, it remarkably sounds like your mother, who says, no, you can't do that. Who the hell do you think you are? You're just a little short, fat white guy from Seattle. You can't have an impact on anybody. You can't do any of that. I'm here to tell you that is a bald-faced lie. Don't listen to it. What would you say?
Don't you dare listen to him. Like I said, you follow that inner knowing and your heart, and you're definitely gonna go far.
And I honestly believe that you can accomplish anything that you set out to do. Now, some of us are going to have to work really hard for it. I mean, think of all the things that you've done, how much schooling you've had to get to where you are today. But now you are so well respected in your field and what you do, and you're working on so many different things. That must make your heart warm.
It does. It warms my heart, and I pray that I have that impact, like I said, globally, and it just grows.
I guarantee you keep doing what you're doing, and your impact is going to be immediate. It's going to be global. And more importantly, your impact is important.
Thank you.
It's I can't tell you how important it is for you to be able to relay that to other people so that they can not follow you or not follow me, but follow themselves
Yeah,
and lead their own place to their own great place to be. That's what
absolutely.
we should be doing.
Absolutely.
We've got about a minute left, and so can you wrap something up in less than a minute?
Yeah, absolutely. Just to say, if you want to reach out, you can find me biancamodo.com, or you can find me on Instagram at I am Bianca Modo. And yeah, I think that's a good wrap up.
Yes, and your clothing line, they can get a hold of that where?
Yep, biancamodocollection.com as well, and on Instagram.
Very nice, and the clothes you're wearing are beautiful. I assume your entire line is beautiful.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for being here, Bianca Modo. Go to biancamodo.com, and that's modo.com. And I want to thank you for being here. I've had a heck of a good time. And
So have I. I can't wait to come back.
yeah, and you come back, you will. And I want to thank everybody for being here. We'll be back Friday at noon and then at 3:00 on Kixie. So hope everybody, and by the way, be kind to one another because, each other's all we've got. We'll see you Friday at noon.